Welcome to the Live to Story podcast with guest Debora Wing, founder and CEO of the International Chronic Pain Institute.
Hello, everyone. I'm that guy. I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas. Welcome to our Live to Story podcast. Today, we have with us Debora Wing, who is a founder and CEO of the International Chronic Pain Institute. Welcome, Debora.
Thank you, Roy. Hi, everybody. It is so good to be here with you. Thanks for inviting me.
So happy to have you. So tell us about your story.
Okay, wow. I've got quite the story that has really gone up and down and all around over the years. I guess I'll take you back to what I know today was very significant for me, which is that I began studying ballet at the age of 4 years old. And I wanted to be a dancer so badly. And I would have done anything to become a dancer. And the whole time, even at that young age, what I remember is hearing from my Russian ballet teacher, "You'll never be a dancer. You can't be a dancer. You have the wrong body, the wrong shape, the wrong size, the wrong feet, I remember hearing, no, not going to be." And what she didn't know about me is that if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to try 10 times harder and I'm going to prove you wrong. And I did, and I became a professional dancer. And I danced until I was 30 professionally. And, I look back and I see how I was learning. That book, Everything I Learned in Kindergarten? Everything I learned in ballet school. And I discovered that everything is about the mind, the body, and your spirit, and what you believe you can do, what you really want to do, where your heart is the key to everything. And I took the discipline and the daily practice that I learned in ballet school, and I've applied that to pretty much every other area of my life. I've allowed my heart to lead me, my passions to lead me. And I was learning about energy, and I didn't know that. And I was learning on stage how everything, all the space around me, the people behind me on stage and to the sides, and you can't turn your head and look around. I was learning to feel into the space, and it developed my senses and my sensitivity to a very heightened degree, which I continued later in life through other things like working with ceramics, always working with my hands in the arts. And I know now that the arts is probably the largest contributor to the work I do today and have done for many years now, that's enabled me to help people through a vehicle of energy healing. And I've been able to help tens of thousands of people all over the globe in over 160 countries so far. And all of this learning about energy and learning to feel and learning to sense with your whole body, this has been the key to my work.
You mentioned something. You were 4 years old when you started.
Yeah.
And you had that drive and that determination because someone told you you couldn't, and you're going to show them that you could.
Yeah.
Now, and that helped you
Yes.
the rest of your life, correct?
Oh, yeah. It's still helping me today.
And just think how many kids here know, or they hit that first little roadblock and they stop.
Absolutely. I know it happens every day. I work with people who say to me, "Oh, I've always wanted to do this," or "I feel something big inside me that wants to express, but I'm too shy," or somebody, shamed me and guilted me when and they learn to shut down the full expression of who they are. And I went through a period of my life where I shut down. That's actually another reason why, I think that helped me as well understand what other people are going through, because after a while, well, my whole family was pretty much a big no family. Like my mother said, you really should have become an attorney because you could just prove a case for whatever you want. But that was because they always said no to me. The first words out of their mouth were no. And I used to sit and think through everything I really wanted to do. I would think it through, and I would think, well, how can I explain this in a way that people will get behind me and support me instead of saying no? And so I had to, really form a case. and it's, that determination has helped me. I have a lot of fire. And it's just served me so well to, okay, so you get knocked off the horse, you get back on, no matter what. You don't let other people determine your life, because your life is your art.
Yeah. And, kids are young. I mean, that shuts down their whole future.
Totally.
If they let it.
Totally.
And that's a shame. It's a real shame.
It really is a shame. And I do believe we each come in with a blueprint. Not that it's engraved in stone exactly what you have to do, but there's a propensity to move in a certain direction, to have certain interests, to have certain natural talents and abilities. And if someone doesn't approve or think you are good enough for that, and you give them what I call God status, if you take their words to heart, like you said, it can affect your entire life path and shut down the very thing that God wants you to do.
Yeah. At 4 years old, if you would have quit, what would you be doing today?
Oh my God, that's a very good question. But most likely, well, if I were even alive, quite frankly, because I think I would have gotten very depressed. I went through a period when I did start to shut down. I got so depressed and it affected my health. And then that's when I started veering off track, because I finally got tired of hearing no all the time. And I said, well, you can't beat them, join them. And I went through a period of time where I just tried to do everything exactly the way my family taught me, and that they did it. And I did. I got married, got a house, got a car, got a job. Like I did all the things but I wasn't driven by what really lit me up. I just did what I thought was logical and smart. And from the outside looking in, I actually looked successful and I had a lot of material things. But on the inside, I felt a huge black hole and I wasn't happy. And when I went through that period of my life, even though it looked good, it didn't feel good. And I started looking for something to feel better. And that turned into alcohol, drugs, shopping, spending, sleeping, distracting, running away. And, all that money I made, I was spending as fast as I made it because I was trying to feel better and fix that hole. And it just didn't work for me. And eventually, thank God, I stopped that whole way of being in the world and got more authentic and in line with who I am and what I came here to do.
And another thing, had you not persevered and got to where you are, think of all the people that you would not have been able to help.
That's the number one thing I do realize is my life would have been a teeny tiny speck. I would never have become able to help anyone. I wouldn't have had the confidence to help anyone. I would have stayed in a very small box in a little teeny space in a little teeny town, something like that, and just try to keep as quiet and silent as I could. And not that I'm Hollywood famous, but I have been able to help people. And you know what? When I lay my head down at night, I know that I've made a difference in people's lives, and that is worth more than any Gucci handbag.
I was going to say, money's good. It's you got to have money.
Great, I love it.
You got to have it to live.
Yeah.
But the feeling you get when somebody tells you that you made a difference in their life,
oh my God,
how much you helped them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not enough money for that.
No, there isn't. It has been such a rewarding journey. And I'm with you. I love all the things that money buys. I love the freedom it brings to allow me to have different experiences. But it doesn't, just money itself did not fill my heart, or I'd still be doing what I was doing. And wow, just sometimes I'm blown away by what people say to me. And I didn't even realize the impact I was having. So it's very rewarding. Yes.
Of course, I'm not a dancer and I didn't have girls, but I worked with a guy whose daughter was in dance. And I mean, she was in competitive dance. I mean, so he was always talking about the guy goes to this thing, and it's all day Saturday and Sunday, and
Yep.
and then all the practices. I mean, I
Yes.
know it is. I mean, it's gymnastics, dance. It's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
grueling, physical. I mean, it's hard.
It is.
And having that someone start out at 4 years old and
Yeah.
go through that up until their 30s.
Yeah.
I mean, that does say a lot about that person.
It's a lot. And it really, one thing I'm very grateful for is it gave me the sense of how the commitment to a daily practice does give you confidence and does give you an inner strength. And I really saw from my dance training the connection between your body and your mind, and that we can do so much more than we realize we're capable of if you just stick to it and push yourself a little harder, and really listen to. Sometimes it's listening to the voice, sometimes it's not listening to the voice in your head. It can go either way.
And so I'm assuming you developed some chronic pain in this process.
I did, yes. Some of the pain came from, the dance career, but a lot of it actually came from the emotional pain and the pushing myself in a career that I wasn't enjoying, that wasn't right for me, and trying to be somebody that I wasn't. And also, I think the biggest contributor to a lot of the pain and the other physical ailments that I had was pretending to be someone that I wasn't. And so I would take my emotions and I would stuff them inside, and I wasn't being emotionally honest or expressive. And, everything is energy. Emotions are energy. Thoughts are energy. But if you take that energy and you try to bottle it up, and you just keep bottling it up, eventually it explodes. And that's what used to happen to me. I would, out of nowhere, I would just blow up because I had been holding on to fear and doubt and anger and worry and overwhelm. And I had just been stuffing and stuffing and stuffing. And eventually the closet would get full and it would just blow up. And, people would look at me like, where did she come from? Because they were used to me being so nice. I wasn't so nice. I was repressing and suppressing who I was, how I felt, and my thoughts. And so, it's just not healthy to live like that. And today we know, even from science, that the energy from emotions is releasing chemicals into your nervous system. Your organs are affected, your digestion, your sleep, your hormones, your whole nervous system is affected by emotions, either positively or negatively, depending on how you're expressing or holding it in. So, yeah.
So what led you to starting your own practice and company?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. One day I woke up, quite a number of years ago, I woke up in so much pain one morning, and I couldn't get dressed and I couldn't go to work and I couldn't pretend everything was fine. And I had already taken the pills and that day, and the pain wasn't going away. And I just was a nervous wreck and I was exhausted. And so that day I waved the surrender flag, and I actually called someone and asked for help and just told them, I can't live like this anymore. And instead of getting a medical test, another specialist, another medical test, I started telling the emotional truth about how I felt and what wasn't working for me in my life. And I had never told anyone certain things that I didn't like, that I couldn't do, that I was pretending. And I started to become very emotionally honest. And I got the help that I needed to really heal at the root of the problem. And I ended up changing careers, going back to school. I started meditating as one of my daily practices, which I had learned at a young age, but I had stopped doing. And I had a series of these really fascinating, what I call spiritually transformative experiences. They blew my mind, because without reading something out of a book, in meditation, that's when I learned that this empty space isn't empty. It's filled with life force energy. And this life force energy is used, you can learn to use it to heal. And my intuition started turning on and becoming very strong. And I literally knew that I was going to heal. I was going to learn to use this energy that I could feel flowing through my hands and through my body, and that I was going to be able to use this to help other people, and that I actually had a higher purpose for being here, and that everything that I had been through, even the hardships, was going to be, what's the word, repurposed for this higher purpose. And I started to really pay attention, and I I looked up everything I could about energy healing and energy, and I started to discover books, and some old, some new. And I became a Reiki master first. Then I became a yoga teacher. And I just started exploring what was lighting me up, where I was curious about energy. And I couldn't stop. And that led to the method that I now practice called high-speed healing, where I work in the bio field, the energy field around people. I started offering sessions. This is years ago now, but it just has all grown incrementally over the years until I finally had the confidence to say, this is what I'm here to do. And I've been doing it ever since.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned about, you know, keeping everything in, and you finally just said, hey, I've got help. I've got to get some help, you know. And, you know, think about how many people out there are in that same boat. They're all these problems, but they haven't realized, you know,
Yeah.
I need some help. I need to reach out.
Well, quite frankly, I know there's millions and millions of people suffering from chronic pain and depression and anxiety and trauma from accidents or injuries, or trauma from abuse and all types of abuse. People who haven't slept in decades, insomnia, digestive issues, migraine headaches. There are millions of sufferers. And unfortunately, the way we look at healing this is not healing at the root. It is symptom treatment. Take this pill, take this drug. And there literally are millions of people on the planet who are suffering but don't know that they're not getting to the root. And this can go on for decades. And I think that we're living in a time now more than ever where everybody's trauma button has been pushed. People are stressed to the limit in every way. And they are, you know, people will try, just like I did, conventional thinking, conventional medicine. But if the method they give you either makes you feel worse or gets you addicted to a very dangerous drug, or you have a list of side effects that are worse than what you went in with, eventually people stop and they start seeking, and they start looking for help in other ways, and they start seeking more natural, safer methods. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've been able to offer, is a non-drug, non-medicinal, non-symptom treatment, much deeper way of truly healing the root cause. And you know, my heart goes out to people, because I know, I would say, as far, you know, today, probably at least 2 out of every 3 people are suffering from some kind of either physical pain or depression or anxiety or some type of dis-ease. And they're not familiar with their options. They're only familiar with the very in-the-box conventional way of dealing with this.
You know, it seems to me like people now are looking at options to get away from big pharma. I don't want to take a pill. I want to get cured. You know, I want help, but I don't want to be dependent on these pills. I don't want all this stuff. I want something more normal and natural. Is that your experience as well?
Absolutely, 100% every day. And it's grown so much over the years. The past, I'd say 5 years, I've seen a huge spike increase in people saying, I just don't want to go the drug route. I don't want to, you know, it scares me, or I've already been there and tried that. It didn't work. It made me worse. Or it did, you know, people who have had, I've had clients who have 3, 4 surgeries and still it hasn't taken away their pain. There's something wrong with that picture. And so more and more people are reaching out. They are interested in energy healing. They're interested in natural methods that will cause no harm. They're very much interested, and I see a huge increase. And I think this is the tip of the iceberg. People are getting more, science is coming out, and not that science, is necessary for most people to believe in something or try something, but it's really nice to have more and more science coming out that validates that this is real, this is the future of medicine, and we're gonna nip this in a new way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get political, but it seems like there's a lot of natural, even back from the 70s on, a
Yeah.
lot of natural things were suppressed by big pharma.
Oh,
They,
yeah.
they want customers, not cures.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's very, these are tricky times we're living in, and it's very sad. And I've seen a lot of things happen this year that I just can't even believe, where I'm certain that there's information that has not been allowed out for the public to see, because the pharmaceutical industry would not be making a dime off of it.
Mhm.
And that's a sad fact, when we care more about money than we care about really helping people. So yeah, I could talk for hours about that.
Yeah, but we don't want to be political, but it is a shame
Yeah.
that people don't have access to alternative treatments for their ailments.
Yes, right.
You know,
But somehow, if people do keep seeking, they find it, and it is there. And now again, there's more and more platforms coming out that are not censoring the natural health community and the information. And I think now more than ever, I'm seeing a lot of other ways that people can turn left and turn right and find what they're looking for. And word of mouth is also very powerful. Prayer and meditation, very powerful. You seek, you will find. So don't give up is the key.
yeah, oh, I totally agree. So tell me a little bit about your book.
Yeah, my book, Why Do I Still Hurt?
Yes.
I wrote this book because people were coming to me in the early days of my practice. I would only offer the high-speed biofield energy healing, and people would come. This is when I had an actual physical office. I've worked strictly virtually for the past 6 years. But years ago, I had an office. People would come one at a time, and I would work on them, and the majority of people would have healing. And but there was a percentage of people who sometimes 6 months later, a year later, or even, initially they would say, my pain is back. Why is it back? Or all my symptoms are back. And, I'm the type of person that likes to figure it out. So when that would happen, I sat down with every single one of those people and I had a conversation. And I discovered in every single case, there was one or two things happening. They had certain habits of thinking that was actually causing the problem, the pain, the symptoms to flare up, but they didn't know they were contributing to the problem. Or they had emotions, like I've talked about, that they didn't know they were stuffing and denying and repressing. And it was causing the pain or the symptoms to flare up. And that's the only thing that was going on. Their thoughts and their emotions were literally lying at the root of the problem, and they were unconsciously adding a log to the fire they were trying to put out. So I started working with them and adding some new tools where I showed people how to find and release these damaging thought habits and how to find and release the damaging emotions. And when I would work in their field and teach them those two things, they were good. And they were able to hold the new pattern. And so I wrote my book for those people that say, well, why do I still hurt? I've tried everything, and either nothing's worked for me, or it worked for a little while, or it didn't last. Or also the people where nothing shows up in a medical test, and they are completely confused. Their doctors are confused. That's why I wrote my book, Why Do I Still Hurt? Because it's like a workbook, and it will take people into the conversation we're having today, but at a deeper level, so that I ask them questions in the book, and it starts to get them thinking about their symptoms in a brand new way. And it helps people begin to understand health and healing from an entirely new perspective. And it gets out of that whole symptom treatment way of thinking and starts to get them to look out a different window that nobody's asked them to look out before. So my deepest heart desire is that that book will wake people up to a new way of thinking about their physical health, their mental and emotional health, and it even applies to relationships, to finance, to romance. It will apply to every area of their life, even people who feel they've lost their sense of purpose.
Wow.
Yeah. It even can help with business. I felt a lot of people come to me, oh my God, and they're all in knots. And why doesn't my business work? I've done all the things everyone else has done. And there is either something in the mind, the emotions, or in their energy field that's causing this. And so I help people, for whatever reason, whatever type of pain they're manifesting, whatever type of pattern or block that they think they have. That's why I wrote the book, and that's why I help them with the energy healing.
Great. So where can people get your book?
If you want a book that you can underline and dog ear, go to Amazon, but there's a free copy that you can download to any device at my website, which is internationalcpi.com. Internationalcpi.com, download a free copy and go to town, and then write to me and let me know what changed, what's different, what did you discover, any questions that you have, or if you'd like my help further, you can do that on the website.
Yes, they can reach you through your website for
Yep.
additional information and all that too, right?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I really do appreciate you coming on today. You have a very interesting story, and I think it'll resonate with a lot of people.
That is my heart's desire. I hope that if you're listening today, that you heard something, felt something, or a little voice is saying, well, I haven't tried that. Mm-hmm. And that you're willing to just take one more step and not give up hope before you experience your miracle, because it could be just right around the corner and you don't even know it.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you, Debora, for having me on.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate it. It was a real pleasure to meet you and hear your story.
You too. Thank you, Roy, so much for having me on.